Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of our life seasons. So this episode we're going to be talking about the duality of life, specifically gains and losses. I know last week I kind of talked about what I outgrew in life and it's a little bit overlap because like I mentioned the list of episodes that I have planned out is based on my life season. So you can see actually how I started slowly going into letting go and like learning a lot of lessons in my life. So before I dive into what my losses and gains are, I just want to say that there is duality of life. So like birth and death, light and dark, pros and cons, gains and losses. So to me, words are just labels until like you give a meaning to it. They are just words until you give a meaning to it. So what I mean is that whether something is positive or negative, right? It's what we give the meaning to it. It's what we experience in life that allow us to label it as a negative or positive experiences. So it's what we attach to it. And the good thing about it is that we can actually choose to give certain words certain definitions, our own definitions. So yes, of course, I understand that there are dictionary definitions of certain words, but I don't know about you, but for me, that is boring because I'm never someone that loves to live life as it is or what is being told. I love to kind of explore my own definition of certain things. I get curious as to why does it have to be this way. So sometimes it's so funny because sometimes I do challenge myself. Like when someone tells me that, oh, this is how it is, this is how life is, this is what it's supposed to be, I would take it upon myself and to ask myself, okay, how can I twist it to be my own definition? How can I learn from this and know that, this is not the definition that I want to have, right? My own definition of certain things. So it's kind of like a rebel in a sense, but that's just kind of how I am. And I find myself constantly exploring the other side of life, to ask certain things about why is it this way, and then a good way in a way. Like I'm actually really, really curious. I never take things literally, and sometimes, like I mentioned, I will take things up a notch. So that is just how I am, and I understand that. Not a lot of people are like that, but to me, this is the excitement that comes with it. This is my excitement of life. So you'll never actually see me lead a open inverted normal life. It's just not my identity and it's just not a story that I want to tell myself, because I feel like if you lead a normal life, you're actually living based on what people tell you life is, or how life is based on the majority, right? But I feel like everyone is so different that we live life based on our own terms, and we have to live life based on our own terms. That is why we're put on this earth and in this lifetime to learn what's the purpose of our life, right? So I know that not a lot of people are comfortable with this thought. This thought might even irk you even more. You might feel icky because, yeah, it's just uncomfortable. And I used to be like that up until I realized that, I enough is enough. I want to live life on my own terms, right? So I totally understand that. Or sometimes you might even realize that you don't even know that you can choose certain emotions or feelings to attach to certain words, right? You just think that this is how it is. You don't know that you actually have a choice. Now I'm telling you that you do actually have a choice. So that's a good news, right? So even though we may not feel like happy all the time, sometimes, think back to like the duality of life. You can actually choose like the good and the bad in life, what you see as good and what you see as bad. I'm not saying that there's only good, but what I'm saying is that or like there's only bad. What I'm saying that when you feel a certain negative emotions, what I want you to do is to look at the positive side of things and to ask yourself like, what is it can I learn from this, right? So even though I understand that when you get into negative emotions, and when you get into a negative rut, it is very hard to come out of, because it's just like we spiral into it and we feel comfortable. But what's the most uncomfortable thing is to look at the better side when things are just bad, when shit gets, worse. You're like, how am I able to think of the positive side when my reality is just showing me that things are just happening and happening and it's just going downwards, right? I think that's the hardest part for me as well, to be able to tell myself that, to keep reminding myself, look at the brighter side of things. Like, what can I learn from this? What can I gain from this? What is the lesson here? Because of this mentality of when you lose something, you actually gain something. So that gain is very, very, very hidden amongst the losses, and we will only be able to see it when we open our hearts to it. Okay, so that is just like kind of my brief understanding of what gains and losses are in life, like the duality of life. So today's topic, I know I want to focus more on like the gains versus like the losses and duality of my of my life in general. So let's start with losses. Okay, so I've lost friendships, I've lost a 4-year relationship, I've lost freedom in my life because I'm back to a 9 to 5. I've lost businesses, I've lost savings, which is money. I think the most important thing I realized I've lost is myself, because I lost myself while chasing after my dreams and like people pleasing, trying to live a life that people want me to live. And I feel like a lot of us actually go into this, we actually live life like this. We don't realize it, but we actually live life based on how others perceive us or how others want us to live, like expect us to live, right? So I lost myself trying to fit in a box, like this society box or this social box, which is very, very, very common. I would say that 90% of the people in the world is living based on how they think they should live, or how it's just what is normal out there, right? So but what I gain is a lot on, in terms of relationships or friendship wise or just life in general. I gain a lot of clarity on what I want in a friendship or in a partner, right? Like setting standards, setting boundaries. I have 3 values now I know when it comes to looking for a partner. That is 1, respect, 2, ambition, and then 3, trust. So these are the values that I hold dearly to me, and I know that, you know, when I meet someone in the future or when I meet a friend per se, like whether or not they align with these values, and these are the top 3 values. It's a non-negotiable. Okay, it's a non-negotiable. So other than that, I also forge new friendships, new relationships with friends, by allowing myself to go out and to socialize, because I used to tell myself that no, I'm an introvert, I stay at home most of the time. But after, you know, living life in a healthier way, I would say I tend to go out more often, even whether or not it's alone. I tend to socialize a little bit more, just to, you know, talk to people, and because I do really enjoy like hearing people's life experiences, to see what I can learn from that, to see what I can share. So that's just, yeah, that's just me, and that's just what I gain. So I gain a lot of happiness. So by the way, if you want more details and context of the above things that I've just mentioned, like the details, go listen to the previous episode of, you know, outgrowing my life in 2022, because I actually gave a breakdown of how my 2022 was like, the lessons that I've learned, and then which have helped me to be where I am now. So it's almost an hour long. I know it's very long, but there are a lot of golden nuggets in there, if I say so myself. So yeah, go check that out. But anyways, back to today's topic. Most important thing, I feel like I've gained a lot of time alone, like by myself. You know, I realized that I wasn't putting myself as a priority before that. So I was always giving a piece of myself to whoever that I was with, whether or not it's a relationship or a friendship. I will always prioritize people first, and I feel like that is, in a sense, like a people pleasing tendency, or like in general you just want to be selfless, right? But sometimes it's okay to be selfish. Sometimes I feel like it's even better to be selfish, because if you don't put yourself, or you don't fill your cup up first, you won't be able to, you know, provide any value to other people, provide any happiness to other people, to raise the vibe in the group that you are with, right? So what I did was I started to watch a movie alone, I started to eat alone, I started to go out alone more, I started to take more time for self-care. Like I signed up for a facial package, which the amount was just scary. Like I've never actually put in this much investment in self-care, because self-care to me wasn't a priority, right? So that was that. And then I journal more often, I meditated more, I work out more, and in return, all of this allowed me to raise my vibration. I was so much happier, I was so much more at ease. I feel like I could manifest things a lot more. I could actually just live life a little bit more lightly instead of taking it so seriously. So I gained a lot of time alone. I took the time to heal myself from all these losses and get back up stronger. So basically, I gained a new relationship with myself, a healthier one. I gained a long time alone. That I crave, but I never could, because I never was able to set boundaries. Right. So I also gained a new chance to start from scratch, to start learning how to take care of myself first. I started focusing on, you know, improving the day to day of my life, the day to day areas, like gaining the courage to face my finances, to fix, not to fix, but to, you know, reorganize my finances, and also to work on like my money mindset. So I would like to kind of talk more about the definition of losses, because I feel like this is where it gets interesting. This is where it's different. Okay. So the dictionary definition of losses is the action or state of not having or keeping something anymore. Okay. So this is the definition of whatever they can Google out there. But I think for majority of the people, when you say you lose something in life or I've lost something in life, there's always this immediate feeling of negativity, of anger, of frustration, whatever that is related to a specific experience that you deem as a loss, right? So basically, it's just negative emotions throughout this whole that you experience this through during this loss. So I always wonder why and how do we explain all this sadness and anger that comes with this loss experience when the dictionary didn't even say that, oh, it's when the definition is not even like, oh, it's a state or of end of life or sadness or anger or whatever common emotions that we face during loss, right? It's not stated in the dictionary, but why do we actually feel that? So I came to realize that it's because of the experiences that we have with losses. It's a build up and how we view it and how the world view it and how we were told to view it. So example, like we get scolded by our parents for losing our items, right? For losing our wallet, for losing our bottles ever since young. Or we see our friends or even ourselves, like we go through experiences that is very hard to get over, like a breakup or like a heartbreak or loss of someone, right? So for me, I don't see losses as a negative thing. I used to see it as a negative thing though. Like it took me really, really long to be able to define my own definition of losses, to realize that, okay, losses is not actually a bad thing after all. Okay. And long time, as in, I mean, for the past 23 years, 24 years of my life, only now, then I realized that, okay, with every losses comes gain. So that's why this episode comes about. Right. So for my definition of losses is the action or state of not having to keep something that no longer serves you. Okay, so it sounds similar to the dictionary, but a change of a few words can actually change the whole vibe to the word. Like it can change the whole meaning and emotions behind the word loss. So what changed? It went from, okay, I repeat again, like the definition from the dictionary is not having to keep something anymore, and I changed it to not having to keep something that no longer serves you anymore. Okay, so subtle change but very impactful. It means that you actually have a choice to choose your emotion. You actually have a choice to choose how you want to view this word or how you want to view that experience. You can actually choose to go back into joy and peace and love again. So I repeat again, my definition of loss is that you do not have to keep something, is to not have or keep something that no longer serves you anymore. Okay, so what losses taught me is that, I should have come up with my own dictionary of words, but anyway, just a thought. That's just a silent thought. Okay, sidetrack. But anyways, you can tell that by giving a new definition to a certain words, I tend to take things lightly, especially for loss, right? I tend to take things more lightly, not so seriously. I find um myself living life a little bit happier, and I stay true to myself. So it's not the end of the life, right? It's not the end of your life when you face certain losses if you have this definition, if you take on my definition. So your losses will always remain as a loss to you and as a negative emotion unless you choose to change something about it. Okay, I like to think that we never actually lose anything. Like I mentioned, like we actually do gain a lot of things from loss. So example, if you lose someone close to you, right, whether be it like death or they just outgrow the relationship, the situationship, the relationship, the friendship, I mean. So what you gain might be a valuable lesson of, cherishing the people around you, cherishing the way you live your life, because life is too short for you to sit here and be submerging in all these emotions, all this negativity, and just wasting time, open inverted, wasting time in a sense. Okay. So you actually do have a choice, right? So this is the power that we are given. I feel like this is so powerful because the power to put behind meaning to everything that happens in our life. Okay, if we give it a negative label, it is going to be deemed as negative. We are going to be in this negative loop. But if we try to think of it as a positive way of what we can learn, then I would say that, that's when you make the switch and you start to leap into growth. You start to allow yourself to ease into growth, to know that, how can I actually grow to become the better version of me? That's when you open the pathway to growth. Okay, so my losses always and I say this like a lot of times because it really does always taught me something, and it always has taught me something that I only will know when I decide to open my heart up to it and to accept it. and to be receptive of, what happened. Okay, so losing people or things uh to make space for more abundance to come in is something that I've actually learned a lot, because I used to think that, oh, loss means like it's a loss, right? For a reason, like you no longer have that thing, and it's like it becomes like a hole in your heart or in your life. But what I realized is that that hole will be filled up with something else, and you just have to open up your eyes and open up your heart to be able to receive, so that that hole can be filled up with something else better, something even better, right? So I would say that, for example, losing people, right, it allows more abundance to come in, it allows more people who are aligned with you to come in. So it's a flow, right? This is the duality of life. It's a flow in and out. um you need to let some things go for some things to come in. Okay, it's just like an energetic exchange, right? So it applies to all things in life, be it in a relationship or business. So in a relationship, if you lose someone, it actually allows you to make space for more people to come in your life, more aligned people. So people who were never meant to be in your life will never stay like very long. They will never stay for long. So I realized that everyone or every person that enters your life has a purpose that they create in your life, right? Whether or not it's to teach you certain things, or whether or not it's to force you to grow out of your comfort zone, they all have a purpose. If you think about it, just think about the closest people that have entered your life and have left, right? I do have a lot of not a lot, but I do have a couple of people that I thought we were gonna be like friends or even together forever. But I realized after they left is that they were just here to talk, to teach me certain things. They taught me certain things in life that, I needed to grow, like to move forward. So it's always something that might be overdue, something that you needed to learn by yourself. But if you couldn't, then the universe is gonna, bring people in your life and make sure that you learn the lesson, and then just allow them to leave, right? And that's okay. So I would say that for business wise, if you lose followers, which is a very, very, very common problem, or a common negative emotion that we put towards like losing followers, I would say that just think of it as a way to make more space for aligned clients, to make more space for aligned people that loves your content. Okay, so that's just like a way of thinking, because we always want more, 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 but we have to realize that it's, like I mentioned, it's an energetic exchange in and out. It's a flow. Okay, so that's why we have to be in flow with life. So in conclusion, I would say that, like I mentioned a lot of times, and I'll mention it again and again, every loss comes with a gain, be it a lesson learned, or just a feeling that you need to feel into. Just know that when you open your heart up to seeing the gains in that situation, in that loss situation, you'll be genuinely happy. Okay, because it really allows you to expand and make more space for people to come into your life. So either ways, there's always something good that comes out of it. I want you to know that everything has to come to an end. Nothing lasts forever. Okay, even negative emotions, they come to an end. So situations that we label as negative comes to an end. Okay, I want you to start changing the way you label certain things, certain words. Whatever that you're taught is a negative emotion, or whatever that you're taught is a negative situation, I want you to reframe it in your head and start seeing the good in it. Okay, so yes, some may say that, oh, this is delusional, like you can't always be happy. I'm not asking you to constantly be happy, but more of to, because we are all humans after all, right? And in duality of life, we have to face sadness to know what's happiness. We have to face loss to know our gains. So all I'm saying is that feel into, once you are done feeling into the certain negative emotions that you are feeling into, or to just work through certain feelings that you have, start to slowly shift yourself and train yourself to go into abundance, to go into gains, to go into happiness, to go into peace and love. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. All right, so what I want you to do is to constantly guide yourself to balance, which means, yes, you acknowledge all these icky emotions, but constantly try to shift your focus back and ask yourself, okay, so what is the lesson here? What is the lesson that I need to learn here? What can I do to shift my energy from lack to abundance? Okay, to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So you get to choose how you want to feel. And I say this with so much hope that people can actually understand, that you can actually understand that with every like losses there will be gains. Okay, and I want you to know that you can choose anything in life. You can choose to feel certain things, you can choose to gain certain things, you can choose the certain emotions that you want to feel. You can choose. Life is made out of your life decisions and choices, okay? So um I want you to learn to not be afraid to explore your life in your own way, to just shut off anyone's like opinions on how you should live your life. Because honestly, no one is in the right position. Even for me, I'm not in the right position to tell you how you want to live your life. Because after this, if you want to live your life still like, uh the way it is, by all means go ahead. I'm just sharing my opinion and my version of how I want to live my life. Is that I don't want to take things on the surface level. Don't take things on the surface level. Dig deeper. Ask yourself why. What is it that is so different from me and the rest? What does this mean to me? Ignore all the definitions, ignore all your past experiences, even because your past experiences are actually what people tell you that you know how you should feel. So now, like from today onwards, just try to shift your mindset slowly, little by little, into how do I feel? Like, what is my definition of this certain word of loss? What is your definition of loss? Be curious, question, forever questioning why. Have your own thoughts and opinions. So we're all made different, and that is what we're meant to be and meant to find in this lifetime and in this world. That's what we are meant to share with people, right? So when you live a life with a curious mind, life gets more interesting. Okay, trust me, life gets so much more interesting. So that is, I think, the takeaway for today is to learn that losses always comes with gains, and the duality of life in general, right? There's light, there's dark. We have to constantly be in this flow of in and out so that we flow with life, and you just feel yourself like, at least for me, I just feel myself feeling more positive and feeling more like lighthearted. Like, not everything is, oh my god, this thing happened again and I have no choice. You have a choice, okay? And I'll say it again, and also I know I said it multiple times, but you have a choice. So I think that's all for today's episode and today's topic. So yeah, just really start to figure out what is lost to you, or what is a certain emotion that you've been facing and that people have been telling you that it is what it is. What is certain things in life that uh you feel like you've outgrown, or you feel like, I think it's time to set a new definition to it, and my own definition. Write that down, journal it out, and yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.